All right, guys, you have seen my next guest on MTV, Access Hollywood, the red carpets. You have maybe even experienced his intensive training, camera ready, but there is a whole other side to this man that I'm so excited to introduce you to today. He is woke, he's magical, he is driven. Say hello to Quddus.
Oh, what an introduction.
Oh, thank you,
I
my
love
brother.
that.
Hey, I have been waiting for this day. Since the day we met in Israel, essentially, I mean, it was on the plane ride heading to Israel, but I just connected to you as my soul brother. I know that we have spent so many lifetimes, so many years together.
Yeah, I believe it.
And so I'm just so grateful that you have joined me here today on Soul Reboot.
This is so exciting for me too, because you are really such a gift. And I love that you're bringing all these people to these people, where the camera is.
All the people.
It's great because you have such a gift of bringing out the best in people. So I'm excited to be brought
a part of it. Yeah. And it's interesting because, like I touched on, you know, a lot of people know who you are. They've watched you on TV, but I started to see through like Instagram and things that we have so many mutual friends in common, but in the wellness space and the consciousness space. So I was like, wait a second, the Quddus that that was a new experience to me of you. So when did you start getting woven into the world of consciousness and having all these mutual friends?
I think it was probably around the time where I left MTV. I think I started to make an active pursuit of things that were lighting up my soul and making me ask the big questions and challenging me.
Was there something that catalyzed that for you, or it was just like it just started to gradually emanate from you?
It was a progressive thing. I think the first part of my journey into spirituality was actually an acting class that I went to in New York when I was still a VJ on MTV, and somebody had recommended an acting class for me, and I went in just as a curious seeker in life. And it was probably the first time I allowed myself the full spectrum of emotions. And so I think when I look at my spiritual journey, I actually look at that as probably one of the more pivotal moments. And then doing acting classes really did have me wonder more about what else is available in the expression of life.
Yeah, because as you access those places, it was almost like a cracking open of the egoic shell, which is part of most people's awakening moments that happens. So it's interesting that you had it in an acting class. But I mean, my goodness, I had my awakening in Crown Heights in Brooklyn. You never know when and where it's all going to happen.
Totally. That's the thing. A friend of mine, Rob Bell, says everything is spiritual. And I totally believe it.
Everything is sacred. Everything is sacred and everything is spiritual.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we went on like a magical school bus ride together through Israel for a week. And that's where I really got to understand the healer in you and the mysticism and the deep, ancient, potent wisdom that lives within you. And you're such a seeker and you're so curious. And we had so many incredible, deep conversations, like in Old Town Jerusalem, and when we get on the bus and go to the next town. And we were really diving deep. And I was so grateful that you were able to be a part of, because I went through like one of my biggest awakening moments ever in life happened on Masada, and like you were a witness to all of that. So what did that trip do for you?
Well, looking at my background and being raised in the church the way I was, so intensely Catholic, guilted, the environment around church was something I was so repulsed by. And so it really was a culmination of me being able to revisit what religion could be for me and faith could be for me, aside from the way I had been raised in it. And being steeped in that, where all the stories were supposedly happening back in the day, and being able to really be in that myself. There was an energy when we came to the church where Jesus was laid to rest that I have never felt before.
I hear you on that. Same for me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I don't even think we have enough time for that story. But yeah, I remember that cathedral, the same for me. And so as you have kind of allowed yourself to lift up out of and transcend out of some of those tight constructs of church and religion, and you've let yourself expand and connect to the healer that lives inside of you. Where are you? Because as we both know, this is an infinite journey. It never ends in terms of growing and understanding who the heck we are. So where are you right now in this moment with like understanding the healer inside of you? Like how do you witness and feel that working inside of you?
Well, I got a story for you.
Oh, hit me with it, brother.
I mean, it happened recently. It was my first ayahuasca journey.
Oh.
And so in that ceremony, I went in having the intention to clear any static on the line between Carmina, my fiance, and I, in terms of our collaboration. She's a co-facilitator with me in the Camera Ready experience.
Yes, she is.
And when we're in front of people, we're all about the people. So no matter what's coming up in an idea that she had for the workshop that I may have had a different idea about, and behind the scenes, we have a little bit of static.
Sure.
We go out and serve the people, but those conversations back behind the scenes were things that were disturbing to me, and I wanted to make sure I got to the root of it. I think we had talked about it, and it definitely came to some conclusions, some resolutions, but I really want to clear that up.
Yeah, excavate it on out.
Yeah, especially given that when we started working together, it actually translated to her having shoulder pain.
Ooh, so you knew she was feeling physical manifestation of some of the dysfunction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you. And I want to take a quick second. You both are so on the hero's journey and just so committed to like evolving and looking at shadow. I've witnessed it. You know, I've really seen it.
You have been in the trenches.
I have been in the trenches, and it was such an honor. And so I just like want to thank you in this moment for like always being so willing to face.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was definitely a major thing because, yeah, I just realized that there was something that was still blocking the progress because we had talked about it and yet it was still occurring.
Yeah.
It was almost like this habit thing. And so there I am in the ayahuasca journey.
Yep.
The shaman asked what's our intention for the ceremony. I bring up a couple things, that being one of them. And then as we're in it, I make the connection about this and I realize, oh, maybe if I've been somehow a source of this, and the big kicker is actually how I hadn't reckoned with all of my shadow stuff. And it came out like shrapnel with her. And her being the savior complex woman that she is, she took it on, literally shouldered that which I wasn't really resolving within myself.
If I had my rattle out here, I would be rattling.
Yeah, and so I realized, whoa, maybe if I've been somehow responsible for the pain in her shoulders, maybe there's some way I can actually heal it. And by this point, she had been around the block and back again to all sorts of acupuncturists, name it, she tried.
Yeah.
So a year into this, we were starting to get resigned to maybe having a chronic issue here. And so thankfully, in this experience, I also had the intention to surrender to whatever wanted to flow through me. And what flowed through me was actually the healer that I have had in the closet. And in some ways, it's come out. Facilitating the Camera Ready experience, it comes out.
And at the one event, you've come and supported so many of my events, you actually spoke out loud, I think the words for the first time, like I can't remember what you said, but you're like, I'm finally letting myself see the healer that I am or something.
Yeah.
So you've been gradually claiming it.
Yes, and so this was a full-on experience.
Okay.
And I have never been trained in Reiki healing or any of that stuff. So it just has come out maybe in a thoughtful interview perhaps that I've given someone in a moment of, being understood or seen, someone can feel some healing around that. So I get how it's come out prior, but this was definitely a whole nother level. And so there I am leaping into that role. She's laying out on her stomach, having her own experience, and I go in and it starts to become this full experience, massage, energy, all of it was
Were you being vocal?
It was not vocal. It was, I mean, there was definitely some moments of sounds coming out, but it was more from her. And there's two other people that were in the ceremony and they were looking at what was going on and they stopped what they were doing. And I saw it was a very lucid experience, very vivid experience. So that's why I really encourage everyone when they're thinking about these things like ayahuasca, even cannabis, to really understand that it's plant medicine.
Exactly.
It is something that actually brings us to a heightened state, let alone, some of the misconceptions about it being a drug or whatever have you. And I was the deepest cynic about this stuff, but having experienced it now, I mean, it really is a download like no other. And so there I was, and it was incredible. And then the next day, she's been coming to this church with me where the worship ceremony happens and people raise their hands, and it's Hillsong Church in New York City. Yeah, big mega church, very non-denominational Christian church. She had not been able to raise her hands in a year to be a part of that celebration in church, and her hands went up.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that next day was like
you were
confirmation.
able to see like where you can continue to evolving if you so choose. You know, you're able to be witness to that warrior and that medicine man that has always lived within you. So, I feel that so deeply, so freaking powerfully.
Really powerful,
So let's keep on the theme of you and Carmina, because Carmina is a dear soul sister of mine as well. You guys are family, and it has been so enriching for me to witness you two and relationship. You know, the places you go, as I already touched on. So how, in terms of like commitment, because you guys are going to be married soon, and I'm so excited I'm going to be there to witness that, but what have you been seeing, witnessing, feeling in terms of like the commitment? How are you two staying so dedicated and committed to one another and like wanting to grow and go there?
It's a moment to moment choice.
Okay.
Some days we don't feel like we're in love, but it's choosing it. And so something came up actually a couple months ago that really challenged it.
Okay.
In a way that we hadn't really
Was it
gone
unexpected?
Before.
Like
it was, in a sense, because it was around how after 2.5 years with each other, we actually weren't carrying on sexually like we had been up until around that. So this is correlated with us working together too. And I thought, okay, we're starting to experience a different level of stress because we're launching this training company. We also moved across the continent. So I was kind of like rationalizing the lack of sex going on, right? And so after months and months of this, it became an issue. And so there we were, reckoning with it, facing it like we do with everything that comes up. And it was a really, really challenging conversation because it was like teasing out so many different layers of something, and we got coaching around it to really support us. And at the end of the day, I mean, something about that level of commitment of being now engaged, it's almost like anything that's still in the way of full level of love is coming out of the woodwork, you know?
And why was it expressing itself through intimacy and being physical?
You know, I wish I could tell you. I mean, I think it was not being all together in the commitment, I guess, and on a certain level, like, because I think it requires choosing intimacy when I might not be feeling it.
Yes.
Like if I'm at the end of the day tired, and if she wants to, guess what? There's that moment-to-moment choice in real time. So it's been great to be on the other side of that.
I was just gonna say, come out on the other side.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys are back vibing.
I mean, we're having the best sex of our life right now.
Yes,
but you know, it was important to get it on the table and talk through it and say, like, listen, baby, I think I've been letting myself go the past year. I'm feeling like maybe there's a lack of attraction because you have too, like all of that.
Wow.
And she's been noticing, like, she's been kind of subconsciously letting herself go to really challenge whether I was going to be with her regardless of the way she looked.
Oh, I know that mode. I've done that, been there, done that.
A lot of that came up.
You test it to see if you're going to keep coming back and honoring and being with us. We're such strange humanoids, right?
Yes.
And that's why I call it Earth School. And that's why I get why so many people don't choose to wake up and be on this path, because it takes so much work. You got to dive on into that nitty gritty. The gritty.
I mean, even as we talk about it, I'm deeply uncomfortable.
I feel you're getting more flushed. You're getting more,
But that's it, because on the other side of that, people talk about you got to feel it to heal it.
Yes.
And I think that's what we had. Ultimately, we healed this stuff that's been under the surface. It's coming up, and that commitment is what keeps us on the North Star.
I love it. So thank you for being so open with your personal life. And I do want to kick it over to the television hosting, because I'm so curious, and I think a lot of people at home would want to know, when you are about to go on camera or go live, Does anything ever come up for you? Like, is there ever any resistance, nervousness? Do you ever feel like nobody at home really cares about you? Or like, I don't know. Are there any weird things that come up for you before you go on?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
What?
It depends on the content too.
Okay.
Because I think I have gotten to a point with stuff like the Grammy red carpet, where I've done this 4 years in a row. I've been in the music world in so many different capacities for over 20 years now. So that conversation, it's pretty ease-filled. I'm at home. But when it comes to this new space, the wellness space, where I don't have as much of a track record, where I'm facilitating a leadership course for people who are oftentimes older than me, more successful in launching businesses than me, then I'm definitely constantly butting up against I'm not enough, imposter syndrome, all of that kind of stuff comes up. Who am I to coach this guy who's, you know, so successful? He probably like triples my income per year, and yet somehow I'm coaching him. That totally comes up for me. And so those are the moments I get to remind myself. I get to do what one of my mentors tells me all the time: find your feet. Find your feet. If you're in a room, it's because you belong there.
Yes, amen.
So
going back in and tapping into that solar plexus chakra, doing a little soul reboot action, and like remembering your worth. All of that stuff. And this is just like a random little one, but I've always been curious, because of your connection to the music industry and MTV and all of that. Is there ever been a little piece inside of you that has wished or wanted that you were an actual, like, an artist? That you were a rapper?
For sure. Are you kidding me?
Have you ever had like a rapper name or an alter ego or anything like that?
I've definitely had some moments working with artists when I was in A&R. I was working as an A&R consultant with Interscope for a while. And anytime I got a chance to be in the studio with artists, oh my gosh, I would definitely be in there and suggesting as much as possible about the song. And I definitely feel a real connection with artists, because that to me is the greatest level of vulnerability, is actually in certain songs that I hear where, you know, it's actually something that they're drawing from their lives and willing to like let that voice crack a little bit as they sing about it. It's really powerful, and I've definitely felt like becoming an artist at times. But
what would your style be? Are you like a smooth R&B-er?
I would say the closest thing, I love Common. For me, he's like one of the best rappers, always thoughtful in his lyricism and thought-provoking in so many different ways. So I would say, someone like Common really inspires me and makes me think, maybe I could be an MC. But I like facilitating, bringing out the best in those people. And that's really the role I feel like I've resonated with even more. And that's why Camera Ready was born.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to touch on that. You know, when I immersed in your program with you and Carmina, you know, I went there. I set the intention. I could feel, I know that I'm able to be myself on camera, and I'm obviously super connected to Cosmic Astral and all my Starseed family members. Hey, shouts to you. But like, I wanted to embody, the theme for me was embodiment and getting grounded and rooted in my power, so that the expression that's coming through is from my full power. And good Lord, being in Camera Ready, like it was that whole weekend, and I just exercise after exercise, I was in full commitment, and it pulled up. Remember Timmy, the gremlin, the gremlin. And I still, just today, I talked to Timmy, and Timmy, he normally goes to the beach. I was like, today's a day off. I'm filming. I know you love to come in on filming days. Timmy, you know I love you. We hugged, and I said, where do you want to go today? He normally picks the beach with a virgin pina colada. Today he chose to go on a walk in the jungle. And so, but like all of that, and those were huge transformational moments for me. So you have such a gift too of like unlocking and opening people up to their another layer of their truer power.
Well, I'm so glad that you came and trusted, because that's what it requires really to get to the depths that you got to, is that level of trust to go wherever you feel called to go, because there's only so much a facilitator can do. And we can create a space, a container, and lay out all sorts of exercises. But I will say that, and obviously like we can take some credit, but the way that you dove into the experience, it's a testament to your level of commitment to your best self.
Always, always. I'm just like on that path. So last question before I do my little signature soul reboot mantra practice with you. Where, speaking of this path of self-transformation, where are you wanting it to head? I don't know, like what's next for you? Is there, you know, I know you've done the Vipassana, like are there other things that are calling to you that you want to do next?
Getting married is definitely
That's a yes.
a spiritual moment
That
for me,
could
for
be
sure.
maybe enough said. Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
doing it in a spiritual place, so it's going to be really potent there.
Yeah, definitely.
know?
Joshua Tree is an amazing space, and so that's huge. And then on a professional level, I'm really excited to explore a different type of hosting, a different
Yes.
type of interview. I've been doing a show with a new network called 420 TV about the cannabis industry, and it's called Cannabiz. And it's been an opportunity to go in depth with people,
Yeah.
like I never had the opportunity to before. So
I'm sure you're learning about marijuana in ways you never, right? You never
Yeah.
thought possible. You're like
Yep.
with the heavy hitters in the industry.
Yep. And it's
So-
actually, it had me go from not using for years and actually having some misconceptions that I'd bought into
Yep.
and actually using again.
Yeah.
And it's been really powerful. Actually, I can actually look at the correlation between my experience in ayahuasca and how I use now, because it's intentional.
More
it's from an empowered
conscious,
place.
yes.
Yep. And so it's creating a really dynamic,
I love that.
constant leveling up of the things that I can access. Creativity has been something that's heightened. So I'm looking at even, what does the poet in me want to say now?
Yeah,
I
bring
started
that
out,
poet out.
I was a
yes.
poet when that was my first time in front of an audience, was being a spoken word poet. So
Wow.
maybe
Rebirthing
that. Yeah.
I'd also just got a hit that I want to have like a sacred plant medicine moment with you on that.
Nice.
So let's do that.
Nice.
Does that sound like a good deal?
Love to.
Okay, so here we go. You take
Okay.
this, you take this, get yourself ready. Okay, so on the top line, you're going to fill in the first three words that come to you. I am ready for. Just boom, stream of consciousness. I am ready for. Next row. I am worthy of feeling. Next row. My true power feels like. My true power feels like. And then the last one, if I could describe myself in one word, it's boom, hit him with it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
See?
Wow.
It's good. Okay, now circle one from the top row. Just
Okay.
circle one. Just go like stream of consciousness. Circle one. Circle one from the second row. Circle one from the third row. And then give me your card.
Oof.
Okay, you ready for your personal mantra statement? Soul reboot statement?
Yeah.
Okay. Quddus, you are ready for freedom. Is that what that word is? I am ready for freedom. Oh, wait, hang on. I am ready for freedom because I am worthy of feeling joy. I allow my true silence.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Whoa. I allow my true silent power to be embodied because I am power. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
It's an interesting Rubik's Cube we're figuring out.
Freedom, joy, silence, and power. The fact that you connected to your power as it being like silent, that's intriguing to me. I'm going to have to feel more in on that one, but there you go, my brother.
What I'm noticing on that note is that when I'm interviewing now, I notice that it's that space in between that actually creates something powerful for people. Like if I am patient enough in the way that I ask a question and allow for that space. Sometimes when I was, earlier in my career, I would be uncomfortable in silence. Dead air is what we call it in broadcasting.
Can't
and
have
yet
that.
now I think that's when God comes in, is in the silence. It's not in the let's hustle to the next soundbite. It's let me actually consider this. Think about this. Feel into it. Silence is a facilitator. Silence is a powerful co-facilitator.
Amen. Wow, what a powerful note to end on. Let's sit for a second. Feel deep gratitude for you being here with me. Thank you so much for joining me on Soul Reboot.
Yeah, I feel rebooted. Come on.
Suited and rebooted.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.